What's up, everybody? We're back playing some more Ace Attorney. Yeah, it's the last video. I thought it was gonna be like the last thing, but I should have anticipated that. Because two different crime scenes. Of course, it's gonna be probably a little longer than average. Don't know if this case is like the longest case out of whatever how many cases there is in this game. So I got one more investigation to do. Then by the time we get back into the courtroom, then it will be the last one. So anyway, I definitely want to squeeze in some time for multiverses. I've been kind of neglecting that because I definitely want to start grinding out some more Bugs Bunny. Then just to let you guys know, I will be getting back to Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel tomorrow, some point early afternoon. Hopefully, if nothing comes up, I can get in at least a decent time early, and and play a few rounds. Next week I'll be buying some more gems so I can try to get some new cards. All right, I hope everybody's doing well, and I still got more reviews coming up in the next week, or whenever I finish it, I'll hop right into it. I'm so sorry, Mr. Wright. I'm sorry for what my sister said. Drastic crimes require drastic measures. That's just the way it is. We did what we had to do in order for him to get the verdict he deserved. Oh, by the way, I did post a new chaotic lore video about the overworlder Bodil. You can check that out. It's up on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/talkativecarl. I didn't know. I never knew that the SL9 incident was just another name for the Joe Dark killings. When this SL9 thing is it disbanded over at least 3 different cases. Sounds like everyone's heard about these killings but me. Lana wanted Dark convicted so badly. That's why she used me. That's why she used what happened to me. What do you mean, what happened to you? It's all there in the file. Joe Dark's last victim was Prosecutor Neil Marshall. When he murdered Officer Marshall's brother, he left behind an incriminating piece of evidence. But what did you have to do with those killings, Emma? On the night Prosecutor Neil Marshall was murdered, Joe Dark tried to kill me. What? He tried to kill you? Officer Marshall's brother, Neil, was only trying to save him. So that means you. Yes, I was a witness in the Joe Dark trial. Didn't see that one coming. It happened 2 years ago. It was right about this time of the year, too. What a coincidence. There was a terrible thunderstorm that day, unusual for the season. I was alone in my sister's office. We were planning to eat dinner together once she finished her work. Then suddenly, this terrifying man came bursting into the office. Joe Dark. It seemed like he was running from someone. He pulled out a knife and screamed at me. I didn't know what was going on. Just then, Prosecutor Marshall showed up. Jake Marshall's brother. Joe Dark tried to take me hostage, but before he could, Mr. Marshall tackled him. Then, what happened? I never forget it. Lightning struck and the lights went out. Suddenly, a bolt of lightning flashed outside the window, lighting up the office for an instant. What I saw then burned a permanent picture in my mind. I can still see it now. Permanent picture? Don't remember the moment when Dark stabbed Mr. Marshall, so you weren't able to testify about that. No, I was only asked about what I was, about when I was attacked. That must be why she made up the crime. Made it up? You mean provided bogus evidence? The prosecutor's office wanted the guilty verdict so badly. Lana forged the evidence and Mr. Edgeworth used it. Edgeworth? Yes, but I'm sure he didn't know anything about it. He couldn't have known he was being given false evidence. Even so, that's when it all started. The rumors about Mr. Edgeworth, it's all my fault. If I could have just testified properly, none of this would have happened. So it's true, he may not have known him. Edgeworth really was involved in falsifying evidence. After that case ended, Lana was never the same. She became cold, like she is today. She must not have been able to face up to what she did, especially not to Emma. What did you see in the instant that crime occurred? Dark knocked down Mr. Marshall and raised his knife. Neil Marshall was stabbed right in front of this poor girl. I don't remember what happened after that. Apparently I passed out. When I came to, Lana was cradling me in her arms. Poor Emma, you've been through so much. I couldn't bring myself to testify about that instant. I tried, but the words just wouldn't come out. I drew a picture, but it wasn't any good. 2 years ago, you must have been 14. That's understandable. Once it was all over, I made up my mind. I decided that when I grew up, I'd become a scientific investigator. I want to be able to fight crime with my testimonies and find the evidence to make an airtight case. That way, Lana would never have to forge any. I see. I think I'm finally starting to understand what makes Emma tick. But there's still something that bothers me about that crime. There's something that's puzzling me, Emma. What is it? You said you were in Lana's office at that time, right? That's right. Why then would a serial killer come running in there? Not only that, but he was being chased by a prosecutor. Oh, there's no mystery there. Joe Dark had been taken in for questioning that day. Taken in for questioning? You mean by the police? No, by circus performers. Of course, this happened at the police department. He tried to run away halfway through the interview and fled into my sister's office. But why did he run all the way over to your sister's office? Because the detective offices and the questioning room are right across from the elevator. Across from the elevator. But Lana was the chief prosecutor, wasn't she? No, silly. Didn't I tell you? 2 years ago, Lana was a detective. She was the best in the entire force. What? That's news to me. After the Joe Dark case, she was transferred to the prosecutor's office and made chief prosecutor. You know, that kind of reminds me of something from Law and Order in the past couple of years, where SVU, one of the detectives, forgot the guy's name. You know, he for years he's been like a detective, but every so often it's been like seated that he's been like studying up for like, you know, the bar exam because he decided to change professions and become a lawyer. And it was like at least a couple of years ago when that finally came to fruition. And it's like, sure, like that can happen, but I think Law and Order did a better job with handling the time it took, because just because you're a cop doesn't mean you should know about the law, but not like, you know, to the same extent as a lawyer would. And even then, lawyers every once in a while have to look up stuff to refresh their memory about like certain cases that happened before that might correlate with what's going on currently with their stuff. In this, her sister just basically like, oh, she was a detective, then she just transferred over to the prosecutor's office, just like that. And I was like, no, no matter. I'm pretty sure, even in Japan, there's a process, and you have to actually go to school and take the bar exam, which takes time, and that shit is fucking hard. Not impossible, but very freaking hard. And you make it seem like, I don't know what's up with like the writers of this game, but they could have like well, maybe they didn't do their research or didn't feel like they have to, but they could have just, I imagine if somebody who's studying for the bar exam or somebody who's, you know, part, you know, like a government official or some status like lawyer or cop, and they managed to be playing this game or a fan of Phoenix Wright, and they look at something like this and they like, God, that's bullshit. I wish I could just transfer that fast from one field to the next like that. Anna used to be a detective? I better have another talk with her. Lana, Mr. Wright, it seems like keep causing you trouble. Falsifying evidence? I didn't think you were the type. Criminals don't mind playing foul, why should we? But Lana, if you're wrong, an innocent person might be found guilty. Believe me, I understand the risk. Lana, that's fucking corrupt. It's kind of like, before Batman came into Gotham City for the first time, crime was like super freaking corrupt. And like, you know, even like most of the police department and like the, you know, lawyers and judges, like everybody just doing what the fuck they want. And it's like, there's freaking anarchy. You gotta have some level of integrity. Whether like those criminals get off or not, you know, you have like you know, your conscience telling you that, yeah, you still did your job and your duty. Emma told me about you. Oh, about how you were a detective 2 years ago, and how the SL9 incident was the reason for your transfer to the prosecutor's office. That's right. Could you fill me in on the details, especially about the unusual change of jobs? I suppose you have a right to know, Mr. Wright. A lot of revelations were uncovered at the trial today, not the least of which was the fact that this case is largely connected to another one 2 years ago. Evidence from that case was stolen as well, though I expected as much. I know how obsessive Officer Marshall can be. That trial, it really wasn't fair, was it? I believe in you, Lana. I believe that no matter what happened, you always stick to the truth. It couldn't be helped, Emma. At that trial 2 years ago, I sold my soul. But all drama aside, the fact of the matter is, at 5:15 there was no murder at the police department. Tell me it's not true, Lana. What the witness, Miss Starr, said about you stabbing Mr. Goodman with a knife. Lana, I don't understand. Why won't you tell us? Emma, this doesn't involve just me. I don't think I've ever seen Lana look so fazed before. It's true, I was a member of the police force 2 years ago. She was amazing. They still talk about all the cases she and Chief Gant cracked together. You know, at some point, well, not at some point, like definitely by the end of the year, probably around Christmas, I want to start beginning my collection of manga stuff. I still haven't written them down yet, but like Phoenix Wright, I definitely put on the list because I love Phoenix Wright as a character. You know, a very underrated anime. Eventually, I will like do like a spoiler review of the season 1 of Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney anime for the channel. So look out for that soon. I don't know when I will get to it, but it's on the list. It's something I've been sitting on for, you know, at least a year. Chief Gant. He was the deputy chief of police back then, but he still worked the crime scenes. Damon Gant. He was everything I aspired to be. They were the best team ever. They solved crimes before the reports could even be filed. Emma really idolizes her big sister. But now you're chief prosecutor. What happened? I always planned on becoming a prosecutor. The reason I became a detective was to gain experience investigating crime scenes so you could use that experience in court, right? Gant's help in the SL9 case was crucial to its resolution. After that, he became chief of police, and arranged my transfer to the prosecutor's office. Maybe I should ask more about this investigation of theirs 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I was second in command of the detectives investigating Dark. Second in command. That means the investigation led was Damon Gant, right? Yes, Deputy Chief Gant and I shared the same office and the same investigations. They even had the same office? We led a team of the best detectives on the force. Detective Goodman, who case it was, Jake Marshall and Angel Starr. It was the first time Marshall worked with his brother. He was quite gung-ho. Without a doubt, Joe Dark was the serial killer. We asked him to come in for questioning. We were desperate for evidence. That was when his final murder took place. He tried to murder Emma. Prosecutor Marshall was trying to save me from Dark. You see, the first person who happened upon the scene of the crime was me. Now you tell us. Damon Gant and Neil Marshall were the ones questioning Dark that day. The investigation was in its final stages, and Dark must have suddenly panicked. So he waited until Gant and Marshall let their guards down, then fled the room. From there, he ran straight to the office shared by Deputy Chief Gant and myself. That's where he found me. So you were the first person to run to the scene, Lana. It appears so. I was filing some papers while Gant and Marshall were questioning Dark. When I returned to my office, I saw 3 bodies on the floor and smelled blood. 3 bodies. Prosecutor Marshall, the victim, Emma, who had passed out, and the suspect, Joe Dark. During the struggle, it seems Mr. Marshall struck a final blow before he died. Joe Dark had incurred a minor concussion and lay unconscious. What did you do? To be honest, I panicked. I picked up Emma, carried her out of the room, and just held her. Can't blame her. After all, her sister must have gone through. After that, I placed Dark under immediate arrest. Let me get this straight. You were all involved in the SL9 incident. That's right. Quite a coincidence, I don't buy it. What are you saying? There's no way everyone involved in this trial was also involved in that incident. Just by chance? But that case was solved 2 years ago. At least one person went to extremes because they didn't believe it was truly solved. Officer Marshall. Yes, his actions came as a surprise to me as well. Ever since his brother died, he's changed completely. I guess he wasn't convinced with the ruling against Joe Dark. Life doesn't end with the closing of a case. Everyone has to live the rest of their lives with their memories. That case just might not be over yet. Emma was assaulted by Dark at the police department, right? Yes, in the office that Damon Gann and I share. The office that Mr. Gann now occupies by himself. The chief's office. Maybe we should have a look at the chief's office, the site of the final SO9 murder. I don't see Detective Gumshoe anywhere. Things seem kind of quiet around here today. You're right. The chief of detectives seems the same, though. Why don't we go look for some other people to talk to? Right. We can come back here later. He's staring. Excuse me. He's staring at the screen so hard it might shatter. What? Dark case may have been fabricated? That's what I thought all along. I just never bothered to tell anyone. Now there's a guy who cares about his work. Howdy, Bambina. What's he doing walking around? He should be, like, arrested for what he did. Like, he should be in at least holding. About to be arraigned or something. Oh, Mr. Marshall. I never thought things would turn out this way when I woke up this morning. Que sera, sera. You never know where life will lead you, Bambina. I should have known my luck had run out when old Billy dried up this morning. Billy? Must be his pet cactus. Say, where are you headed? Just over to the prosecutor's office for a little interrogation. It's a voluntary appearance, but we all know I won't be coming back. Sorry, but you can't go in the evidence room today, partner. But Mr. Marshall, why did you do it? Why do prospectors head west? If ever there was a case I needed to know the truth about, it was that one. Before you turn yourself in, Mr. Marshall, would you mind telling us exactly what happened? Huh? Looks like I won't be getting a steak lunch today. Something was fishy about that trial from the beginning. It wasn't just me either. All the detectives thought so. What do you mean, fishy? Some of the facts reported were inconsistent with the evidence we found. For example, the murder weapon. The murder weapon? You mean that switchblade knife with the broken tip? That was Joe Dark's, all right. But in the initial autopsy report, a question was raised. Question. The blade of the knife was not a perfect match with the wound the victim sustained. What does that mean? It means there is a good chance that knife was not the murder weapon. However, in the report that was finally submitted, that possibility had been erased. Could the facts have been concealed with forced evidence? That case left behind scars on all of us. The scars that the SL9 incident left behind. That's the one. There's a few things in anime that's like super cliche or a trope that I wish will stop. If a person says something, don't repeat back the same thing. That always bugged me with anime, whether Japanese or dub. It's like this. I got the looks, but he got the brains. He was one of the best prosecutors around. Prosecutors around? It's like that. It's like I can't understand that. I had just made detective when he went down. It was our first case together. How old was he, your brother? He was 27 at the time. He was awarded the highest honor that very day. The highest honor? You mean the King of Prosecutors? I knew it. What are you looking at me? Why are you looking at me like that for? That's an honor for a prosecutor. Mr. Marshall must have really been close with his brother. The day the SL9 incident took place, that wasn't the same day as... That's right, it was the day of the evidence transfer. Interesting. It was drizzling that morning, and by nightfall there was thunder. I can't believe 2 years have gone by already. I tried to steal the evidence so that the case wouldn't die. Apparently someone tried to stop you. Detective Goodman was murdered, and the evidence locker was empty. There was something going on behind the scenes in that case. We all knew that later. Every detective involved in that investigation, save one, was taken care of. Miss Starr was fired and I was demoted and boxed away in a tiny room. What about Detective Goodman? If they did something to him too, the commissioners would get suspicious. No, they were careful enough not to be too obvious. They? What are you talking about? Don't get upset, Bambina. I mean Damon Gant and Lana Sky. The investigation lead, Damon Gant, and his second in command, Lana Sky. There wasn't a person on the force who hadn't heard of that dude. That case was the biggest step in both of their careers. After the case ended, Lana transferred to the prosecutor's office. Right? Yeah, Damon Gant, the new chief of police, arranged for that to happen. She'd never been the same since she left. Everyone who knew her said so. Chief Prosecutor Sky was totally different when she was a detective. Now that he mentions it, Emma said something like that too. Tell me, what happened to my sister? Sorry, Bambina, but her secret is too well guarded. I never found out. Honest secret. It all started 2 years ago. So there you have it. That's my story. Did you enjoy it, partner? It was certainly enlightening. There's one thing for sure I found out in court today. That boy Edgeworth isn't my enemy. He was the one who used falsified evidence to get a guilty verdict. But someone else was the one who gave him that evidence and planned everything. That someone is Damon Gant. Don't believe me? Well, I don't blame you. I won't even be a patrolman after today. Too bad I won't be around to work with you when you become a real scientific investigator. Adios, Bambina. No one's here today, not even Miss Star. Everyone's probably busy looking into what exactly went down in the evidence room. That must be where the detectives are. But we proved in court today that on the day of the crime, no one was murdered in the evidence room at 5:15 p.m. Yeah, I thought we were finally making some headway in our case. But instead, it looks like we just ended up making Lana look even more guilty. Hang in there, Lana. Got to find all the answers by tomorrow. So this is the famous oil drum. Well, no time like the present. I'll try to kick it over myself. Hey-ya! That's okay. Don't cry. That Lana Sky must be one strong woman. That's about as red as a sports car can get. Yep, it's pretty red, alright. The body was found in Edgar's car trunk, and the lock on the trunk was broken. So the question is, why did Miss Sky choose his car? So what model car is it? I think it was called a sedan or a coupe, something like that. Those are car types, Mr. Wright, not models. You're a guy, aren't you, Mr. Wright? You're supposed to know these things. Sexist? Maybe it's about time I got my driver's license. This rope, is it? Yep, they laid it on the outline of the victim's body. So, wait. The victim must have died when the killer closed the trunk on him. You have got to be the only person I know that would come to that conclusion. What? It can happen. One second, everybody. I really like, getting up in the middle of a string, but, give me something to keep me up. Really like drinking pop, but I don't have any kind of like iced coffee or anything like that nearby. Even if I did, I didn't want to spend any more money than I had to, especially after I bought myself the other day a ticket to a Chicago Bulls game for I plan on going to in October, and I'll buy myself like a Bears ticket at some point next month for a November game. And at some point early next year, I want to check out a Chicago Blackhawks game. Because as I say in like previous videos, that I want to make a short-term bucket list. Since I already been to one White Sox game and one Chicago Cubs game back in 2019, I want to like at least round it out so I can like have the experience of going to all the Chicago sports games, because I never been to. I'm not a huge sports guy, so it wasn't like a craving to go check out a live game. But I just like to at least have that kind of experience, just to, I think we all, if you live in a particular city with a well-known sports team, you should do yourself a favor and at least, I mean, you don't have to, but it'd be a nice experience for you if you go to, like, if you live in like LA or California, in general, you should go to all the LA, sports team games, Dodgers, Lakers, etc. I mean, it'll be like a good experience for you. Well worth the memories. Personally, I think I like football slightly better than any other sports game. So that'll be experience, like probably be my favorite experience all on its own. But I talked to some friends at work and they tell me like, yeah, food at the concession stand is gonna be crazy. Cause like one guy told me, it was like, he went to like a baseball game and like, a hot dog is like nearly like $8. And it's like, I ain't buying no freaking $8. Like, unless I'm really, really hungry, I ain't buying no freaking $8 fucking hot dog. Hell, I might as well like wait till after the game to go give me something to eat. Mr. Edgeworth isn't here. Maybe he's being questioned by an inquiry committee. He took a real beating in court today. Yeah, with Lana admitting to falsifying evidence 2 years ago. I guess we'll have to come back later. This place is always pretty empty, but today is deserted. That must mean everyone's busy solving crimes. Oh, if you're looking for the others, they're all in the conference room. Yeah, thanks. Wow, he's actually talked to us. With the chief prosecutor saying what she said and the decision about what to do about Mr. Edgeworth, not to mention our statement to the media in tomorrow's trial, there's more chaos going on than Thanksgiving and Christmas put together. So Black Friday. I think festive is the word usually used for those. Sir, you'd like to have a look around Chief Gant's office? Just use the connecting hallway to the other building and take the elevator to the top floor. Really? You mean it's okay for us to go in there? I mean, we aren't police officers or anything. Hey, you're right. You can't go in there. It's off limits. Now let's see where Detective Gumshoe gets his unique charm. Well, what are we waiting for? Let's head to the chief's office. Jesus. Is this like a chief police police office, or is this like Phantom of the Opera? I still can't believe like Phantom of the Opera is considered like a classic horror movie monster. It's like, is it? Should it be though? It's not on the same. He's not even on the same level as like the Invisible Man, because at least there's some level of supernatural phenomenon going on. On some, I mean, it's science that made him invisible, but still, he's not on that. At least at the bare minimum level of the Invisible Man. He's just got a scarred face and hides out in like a opera theater. Whoa, where am I? In the chief's office, silly. At least that's what it said on the door. Check out the pipe organ. That's real, isn't it? Hey, I used to take organ lessons in kindergarten. They used to call me Little Miss Bach. I thought I was... I never could remember where C was. Oh, it's you two. Chief Gant. He put that paper he was reading in his desk. So, Righto, you have been swimming lately. Huh? No, I haven't. I've been kind of busy lately. I can appreciate that. I've had my hands full too with Mr. Marshall's misconduct and Lana's provocative statement. Provocative statement? Oh, you mean about the forged evidence? 2 years have passed since that incident. My how time flies. See that big picture on the wall over there? That's a picture of Lana, Neil, and me. So this is Mr. Marshall's brother, Prosecutor Neil Marshall. We took it to commemorate our work together. Something's not right with this picture. What, you mean the chief of police's tie? Yeah, sure. Does he want to be chief of police or a cardinal? And like, Lana looks like something straight up like a, Russian or Nazi military uniform. And then, what's up with the Marshalls, like, thinking that they're straight from, like, the Wild Wild West? These people with their gimmicky clothes. I can't quite seem to put my finger on it, though. Anyway, I like to reminisce all day, but there are matters that need my attention. I'm going to lock up here, so let's go out together. Oh, but this office, it was a crime scene 2 years ago, wasn't it? That case has long since been over. There's no need to investigate it anymore. All the same, we'd like to have a look around. Perhaps you didn't hear me. I said there's no need to investigate it anymore. Now hurry up and get out. I have a meeting to attend. Yeah, get the fuck out. Looks like we aren't welcome. It seems that case isn't over with yet after all. What do you mean? Chief can't deny our request to search the crime scene. It means there must be a reason he doesn't want us looking around in there. You mean like a clue? A clue! A clue! You see a clue? I just had a wild thought, because a few years ago, there was like a Tom King Batman event, like a little special little one-off thing, not part of the continuity, where the Looney Tunes characters in like realistic, like human kind of forms, showed up in this bar, and Batman is investigating a crime, and he, interacts with essentially the Looney Tunes characters. And I thought, man, it'd be kind of cool and fun, just like a childlike kind of book, like one-off where Batman teams up with Steve and Blue from Blue's Clues. How wild would that be? And it's like, and Steve's like, asking Batman, "Do you see the clue? Where?" And then Blue kind of looks like Ace the Bat Hound, but all blue. There's got to be a way we can get inside the chief's office. pal. Detective Gumshoe, aren't you supposed to be in a meeting? I'm just taking a breather. My feet hurt. Oh, by the way, if Gant escorted these guys out and he didn't want them snooping around, he obviously should have made sure to either make sure nobody tells other officers not to let anyone inside his office while he's gone, which I'm pretty sure they already do, but also to look and make sure these people go away, because if he's leaving and they still lingering around, he would be suspicious. I would. Sorry, I got a bag of rice cakes here. From sitting so long? Say, have either of you seen Mr. Edgeworth? Edgeworth? No, why do you ask? He's under fire from both the police department and the prosecutor's office. It's almost like the battles between you two in court. That sounds serious. It isn't because of what my sister said. That's basically what it all boils down to. That falsified evidence 2 years ago. Now Mr. Edgeworth has the whole world after his blood. Yikes. But why would Edgeworth be blamed? It's not like he knew the evidence was forged. Violet Sky is the guilty party here, isn't she? Regardless, the prosecutor is responsible for the evidence they present in court. Not only that, but as you know, there's been a lot of rumors going around about Mr. Edgeworth. His amazing talent as a prosecutor has kept him safe from those who don't like him. But now with this, are there really so many people who hate him? In our world, only those with talent rise to the top. Mr. Edgeworth not only has that, but he's young. There's no better recipe I know for making enemies. Making enemies. Hey, Dick! Keep up the good work.
Amazing.
Yes, sir. Let's go out for lunch again sometime. My treat. Yes, sir. You gotta take me back to that joint sometime, okay, Dick?
Phrasing.
Yes, sir. It seems you don't have any problems with enemies. Yeah, well, I'm careful not to stick out. Anyway, I'm a bit worried about him. Under all this pressure, I'm afraid Mr. Edgeworth just might crack. Actually, I took a look at the foul area while the coffee was brewing. He seems genuinely concerned for Edgeworth. Well, did you find anything out? The only evidence Dark left behind was during his final attack. His final attack? You mean when he killed Prosecutor Marshall, who was trying to protect some girl? It seems Detective Gumshoe never realized Emma was the girl. That's when he left the most incriminating evidence of all. Well, what was it? Oh, let's see. I think it had something to do with the murder weapon. Oh, by the way, I just realized today, didn't even know it was happening, because I'm not sure there was proper marketing, but Netflix just, added a 6 or 8 episode of an anime style Tekken, based off the video game Tekken episodic series. Once I'm done with all the games for the evening, I want to it's short, so not the episodes, but the season's is 6 or 8 episodes, so I'll hop in and check it out and then like, you know, get to work on like more Iron Man stuff, because I'm nearly done with season 1 of Iron Man Armored Adventures, but I still need to crack down on because I'm not even halfway done with the next Iron Man comic event that I want to do a review for, a classic Iron Man story. So once that's done, I'll head to the first movie. Once that's done, that's when I'll put all 3 reviews up, go live and start reviewing those. So like I said, at some point next week I should have it all, you know, good and ready at the latest. Oh, I forget. Look, it's all written somewhere in here, okay? His powers of recollection never fails to impress me. Maybe we should show him the murder weapon. It might jog his memory. Joe Dark was 42 at the time of the crime. He was just your run-of-the-mill businessman. Businessman? What made him turn to serial killing? One day on his way home from work, he hit someone with his car. With his car? So, it was an accident? An accident, yes, but it transformed him into an animal. An animal? He killed a man that witnessed the accident. Then he killed the lady who saw that. A kid walked by just then, so he killed him too. Then he was burying the bodies. A jogger came up upon the scene and he was killed as well. Finally, he turned himself in. Seems he was a pretty careless animal. Jesus Christ, how many witnesses is happening upon? It's like, after you watch something like Dexter, you can tell this guy was like completely the most inept serial killer you've probably ever seen. Of course, this is all conjecture. There wasn't a single shred of evidence. How? If he just, you know, happened upon killing, how good was he hiding bodies? Especially if witnesses keep, you know, he's the common denominator with, you know, him being on the scene. Then like a witness came by, kill them. Another witness came by, kill them. Another witness came by, kill them. It's like that. It's like an all-nighter. And like how can you like cover all that up in like a single night? I understand if like the first legit accident gave him like a rush or something, then it triggered something. Then he started to like stalk praise the following nights, and then it became like a, you know, continuous thing. That makes more sense and should have been part, you know, in this dialogue story than what is being displayed here, because it doesn't make any goddamn sense, you know, without a shred of evidence. Are you kidding me? Any Joe Smoke could bust a guy like that if he's that freaking, if a killer like that is that careless. So he turned himself in. Yes, but in the middle of his questioning, he fled and murdered his final victim, Prosecutor Marshall. That crime was witnessed by someone too, but luckily Dark was arrested on the spot. It's a good thing that last witness wasn't killed. That last witness, aka Emma. About this. Hey, is that? It has a tag attached to it with the label SL9 incident on it. I believe this would be the broken murder weapon you were speaking of. What are you doing with that? Ever since that case was closed, that knife's been locked away in a locker. On the day Detective Goodman was murdered, this suddenly disappeared from the locker and was found in Mr. Ezra's car muffler. That's it. Now I remember what the incriminating piece of evidence was. When you showed me that knife, it all came back to me. Well, what is it, Detective? Quick, before you forget again. This knife, it was Joe Dark's, wasn't it? That's right. He traced it back to the store he bought it at. Plus, it had his fingerprints on it too. But no one actually witnessed him using it to murder anyone, right? That's where his luck ran out. When you take a good look at that knife, you'll see it's broken. You don't have to take a good look to notice that. Yeah, well, anyway, take a guess where the broken off tip of the knife was found. That's what did him in. Where was it? The victim, Neil Marshall, was carrying it inside his own body. It was found deep inside the stab wound. Did it match Dark's knife? You bet, down to the last fiber. That's pretty conclusive. Well, there you have it in a nutshell. That's all I know. Can I ask you one more thing? What is it? If it's money you need, you should ask Chief Gant. It's not money, but it does concern the chief. His office is a crime scene, right? It's where Prosecutor Neil Marshall was murdered. Chief's out now, and his office is locked. But we'd like to have a look around if that's okay. Well, any detective's ID card can unlock the door. What, really? But if I let a civilian in there, I'll be charged with breach of trust. Breach of trust? Simply put, I'll be canned. Oh, sorry, pal. I don't plan on getting fired because of you. How about this ID card? It was Detective Goodman's. That won't work either. The data was deleted the day he died. Yeah, I was about to say, like, there's no way you can keep using that card after a police officer died. Who owned that card died. So in other words, Gumshoe is our only chance of getting into that office. I wonder if there's something we could show him that would make him change his mind. One second. I wonder if Edgeworth is back yet. There he is. He looks like he's writing something. What are you doing here? You sure was quick to throw that paper on the floor. Tough day in court, huh? Huh. I had to live the past 2 years with rumors flying around. What's another allegation to me? Cheer up, Mr. Edgeworth. I'm rooting for you. That's Edgeworth for you. Always trying to hide his real feelings. So what do you want? Unlike some people, I don't have all day. There's no excuse for what I've done. 2 years ago, I used false evidence to obtain a guilty verdict. That's what it all breaks down to, and nothing I can do erase that fact. But you didn't know, did you? I mean, that the evidence was falsified. The police department and the prosecutor's office share a bond of trust. If that bond is broken, we stand to lose everything. The police department's error is my error, my responsibility as the prosecutor in charge. That fact remains the same no matter what excuses I might have. Mr. Ezra, I take pride in my work, so tell me why. Tell me why ain't nothing but a heartache. Tell me why. Why has it all come to this? Even Ezra can't keep this kind of emotion bottled up. Sounds like he needs to scream into a pillow or something, or go see a therapist. Are you up for the trial tomorrow? First last year's trial and now this one. It seems all you do is worry about me. To be honest, you're getting on my nerves. But Miss Ezra, if you can't just walk out on the trial. Tomorrow is the last day. It's too late to change prosecutors. I'll bet that's why my superiors are banking on it. I never thought that case would come back to haunt me like this. What do you mean? The list of evidence, it seems too short. Most lists run twice as long. It's only half as long as most lists. That is odd. After Neil Marshall was murdered, I became prosecutor for that case. I may not have been part of the investigation, but I knew what I had to do. Use the evidence I was given to prove the suspect guilty. That was really the only thing on my mind at the time. Say, we just saw a picture taken around that time. Picture. Something seems strange about it. Could you tell us again about what happened that day? The day Detective Goodman was murdered? You were participating in a ceremony over at the station, right? I've never cared for ceremonies, but I had to attend that one. Because you were awarded this? Those receiving awards can't exactly skip out on that ceremony. I finished up the office in the morning, then drove over to the police department. You finished up at the office? Yes, just odds and ends, clerical stuff. I didn't plan on returning to the office that day. That is, until I was asked to take something back. Take something back. This. Oh yeah, Chief Gant asked you to hold on to that, didn't he? Yes, it was a piece of evidence in a case that was closed half a year ago. He asked me to bring it back to the prosecutor's office. That's the story we heard yesterday. So you came back here to the prosecutor's office because the chief asked you to? That's right. This picture was hanging on the wall in Chief Gant's office. Prosecutor Neil Marshall. He had just started making a name for himself. Looks like this was taken when he received the King of Prosecutors trophy. I probably got at least another 30 minutes before the investigation part is over and we get into the court. Speaking of that, there's something that bothers me. Yes, the trophy Mr. Marshall is holding, it's a little different than yours. Yes, you're right. I remember now. Remember what? That was what the official prosecutor's trophy looked like until 2 years ago. There's a story behind its design. Sounds interesting. Would you mind telling it to us? It's simple, really. Contradiction? That's what the award is based on. What else I gotta give him? Hold on a second. This award originates from an ancient Chinese tale. In Chinese, the word contradiction is written with 2 characters. The first means halberd, and the second means shield. Have you heard the story? Me? Sure. Everyone knows that. Why don't you tell it though for Emma's sake? Very well. Long ago in the kingdom of Chu, there was an arms merchant. And he played these shadow games that erupted to a war that has destroyed the entire world. Then a boy named Yuki, or something to that effect. Fire, water, air. Long ago, the 4 nations lived together in harmony. But everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked. One day, he presented the king with 2 items. The first was a halberd he claimed could slice through any shield or armor. The second was a shield he claimed could withstand any weapon. Wait a minute.
Objection!
Those claims contradict each other. Very perceptive. But then again, you've heard this story before, right? Anyway, as you mentioned, the very descriptions of these items discredit them both. When the king pointed this out, the merchant was left speechless. And thus the Chinese word for contradiction was born. I don't know if that's true or not, but I want to take a quick look. Let me look this up real quick. Chinese word for contradiction. Oh yeah, there we go. Chinese word for contradiction consists of the characters for spear and shield respectively, derived from an old tale Chinese merchant. Okay. Second. This is Reddit, so you know how problematic Reddit can be sometimes. Derived from the old tale in which a Chinese merchant proclaimed to sell spears that could pierce any shield and shields that could defend from all spear attacks. It's basically based off like a Western version of an unstoppable force meeting an immovable object. So I mean, like, it's not totally BS, but people creating this game, why would they BS a story like that? It's like a perfect thing for a game like this. Oh, I see. So the chipped shield and broken knife symbolize precisely so. They symbolize the merchant's items. The ancient tale ends with the merchant at a loss for words, but it's in our nature to pursue matters to their conclusion, even if it results in something as ugly as this. Wow, thanks, Mr. Edgeworth. I learned something new today. Me too, kinda. I don't recall ever hearing a story like that before. That's funny. If that's so, then why were you only given a shield? You have to ask Chief Gent. 2 years ago, he had the halberd part of the award abolished. Chief Gent. Excuse me? Would either of you care for a quarter-pound of roast beef? Miss Star, I guess she's out of lunches. You certainly are the curious sort, aren't you? Kind of like the first person who sucked a cow's nipple to discover milk. Still, I never thought you'd go digging up the case from 2 years ago. Everyone in this trial was involved in the SO9 incident. Not only that, but the murder occurred on the very day the evidence from that case was due for transfer. This can't all be attributed to mere coincidence. Aren't you forgetting something? You know that little scene I happened to witness? The instant Anna stabbed Detective Goodman with a knife. No matter how much of the past you dig up, it won't change what I saw. Roast beef is meant to be savored when eaten. Miss Starr's hatred towards Lana. It all dates back to 2 years ago. Joe Dark. That's a name I'll not soon forget. We trailed him for a half a year. Oh, the pressure. Still, I don't think I was ever more alive than I was then. Those days were steamier than a bowl of hot gravy. Poor old Jake Marshall, though, must have been going through hell. You mean because of his brother's death? They were close, those two. After Neil died, something took over Jake. He became obsessed. Seeing Jake like that made her all the more desperate. Her? Lana Skye. My sister. The best of the best were put on the SL9 case. Of course, they were led by that legendary duo. Lana and Chief Gant. That legendary pair was the reason we were able to keep up our investigation. That's why we were so shocked over how it turned out. You mean with the forging of the evidence? Don't get me wrong, Joe Dark got what he deserved. Still, it was obvious the evidence produced in court was being manipulated. Items our team never found would suddenly appear, while other items were kept secret. But you don't have proof anything illegal was done. I'm proof enough of what happened. After that case, all of us save Goodman were relieved of our duties, most without even so much as an explanation. Then Lana Skye transferred to the prosecutor's office and became chief prosecutor. Lana always wanted to be a prosecutor. Nothing's quite as simple as it appears. Huh? Lana Skye was merely being used as a pawn. That's my take on the matter. She was being used? Damon Gant and Lana Skye. Gant led the investigation with Lana second in command. They were the best. They solved all kinds of cases together, didn't they? Damon Gant's magnetism in particular was almost unreal. His magnetism? By that I mean his ability to attract evidence. He produced the most incredible evidence in the cases he handled. Incredible evidence? You mean? Oh yes, there were rumors about him even back then. No one dared confront him though. I take it she's talking about forged evidence. Back then, everyone looked up to Lana. All the detectives wanted to be like her. Really? Oh yes, myself included. I was a fool, really. She hated everything crooked and always watched out for the other detectives. That's why she was so concerned for Jake. Mr. Marshall. When Jake's brother was murdered, she felt as if she had lost her own brother. If it wasn't for her, I don't think Jake would ever have recovered from his shock. That's what makes it all the more infuriating. That's why I never be able to forgive her. Why did she have to turn so cold after that? Lana transferred to the prosecutor's office 2 years ago, didn't she? Yes, thanks to Chief Gant's powerful influence. Chief. That's right. Having solved the SL9 case, his position as chief was secured. There was only one thing left for him to control, and then no one could stand in his way. If he could control the chief prosecutor, he could control the prosecutor's office. That must have been his goal all along. But how could he control Lana? I don't know, but one thing's for sure. Ever since that case ended, she's never been the same. It's only logical to conclude there must have been a reason for her change. At last, I'm finally getting close to the bottom of this ugly mess. Thank you, Miss Star. You listen to me, Wiki. It takes more than just ingredients to create fine cuisine. I hope you turn out to be a better chief than I've been. Hmm. I'm sorry, I just cracked the door open a bit. Oh, you're back! You're still here? Gotta make 150 copies of these files. Second. This might end up being getting dangerously close to 2 hours itself. Brewing coffee, copying files. I'm turning into a regular DJ. What? You're a DJ as well? If I'm not mistaken, I think he means desk jockey. Oh, that DJ. Not disc jockey, desk jockey. I gotta admire your persistency, but my answer's still no. I'm not letting you in the chief's office, period. It'll be my neck on the line. That office is the last crime scene in the SL9 incident. I have to take a look in there. There's got to be something we can do to make the detective change his mind. I gotta go back to Edgeworth. I wonder what he was writing before. Come on, Miss Wright, let's take a look. Are you crazy? Edgeworth is sitting right there. Just distract him. I'll check it out. Hey, Edgeworth. Is that Detective Gumshoe out the window there? Oh no, he's fallen to the ground. Hold on. First, let me see what this girl's doing crawling around my feet. You didn't even look. What? Letter of... If you're having trouble reading, I'll read it for you. It says letter of resignation. Resignation? Ezra, you don't mean... I'm tired, right? Feel as if something inside me has died. But Miss Edgeworth, none of it is your fault. I know the path I've walked. You don't need to tell me. And the path I've walked hasn't been a just one. I can't forgive myself for what I've done. And no one else should forgive me either. Uh-oh. I think he's serious. Mr. Wright, please, you have to do something. This letter of resignation, I wonder if I can use it for anything. Okay, now. What's this crumpled up piece of paper? No way! Mr. Edgeworth can't be serious. Is he ever not serious? I can't believe they pushed him this far. Mr. Edgeworth really feels responsible. When I first met him, I thought he was as cold as ice too. But I know different now. He trusted us detectives to provide him with sound evidence. But we betrayed him. Detective. That's it. I've made up my mind. But, here, take my ID card. We can't do that. If someone found out, they wouldn't let you off the hook with another lost item report. Look at me. It's no secret I'm already out of the loop. After all, I'm friends with Mr. Edgeworth. Depending on how this case turns out, I may already be as good as terminated. One second, there's something in my eye. Man, this case really screwing up, these two's lives. So at least let me do this, for Mr. Edgeworth's sake. All right, detective, thank you. If anyone finds us now, Detective Gumshoe's a goner. If that happens, I'm counting on you to bail me out. Sorry, I thought you were a ghost. I didn't even know you could slap a ghost. Detective Gumshoe, What are you doing sneaking up on us like that? I wasn't sneaking. I was just worried something might go wrong. So I came too. If you're here, then what's the point in giving us your ID card? Hey, don't do that to my card. I hardly ever get a chance to come in here. So I figured I'd have a look around myself. Besides, we're all in this together now. You really do want to get fired, don't you? Now if we're lucky. Now come on, let's see what we can find out. I've got a bad feeling about this. This is a safe, isn't it? Safe. That word is right with intrigue. Okay, if you say so. Looks like a code needs to be entered in this panel to open it. A 7-digit number. I think I just might know what it is. I want to take a look around first before I... Speaking of that, when we were here earlier... Oh, it's you two. He put that paper he was reading in his desk. I wonder what he was reading. This looks like a list of evidence. A list of evidence. In most cases, the list runs twice as long as this, though. Hey, look at the case name. Huh? SL9, isn't it? I wonder what this is doing here. Hold on, detective. What'd you just say? I said I wonder what... No, about evidence list. Not only they are twice as long? That's right. I guess there wasn't a lot of evidence. Half-size list of evidence. I wonder what would the other half of this list be doing here? I knew it. The chief must be hiding something about the case. It would appear so. I wonder what this is. It looks like someone drew some kind of sketch here. What is it? Did you find something? I can't make it out. I better keep it quiet right now. Huh? Oh no, it's nothing. Your eyes moving about like that, Mr. Wright. I better not forget about this picture. It's her picture. Chief's organ sure is a sight to behold. Occasionally we hear him playing it from the Criminal Affairs Department. That's on the 2nd floor, and this is the 15th floor of an entirely different building. When a detective screws up, the chief calls them to his office and makes them listen to the organ for hours. What's so bad about that? Music soothes the soul. After that, the detective can't hear anything for days except for the ringing in his ears. So it's an instrument of punishment, literally. But aren't the chief's ears affected? He never listens to anyone anyway. That's beside the point. Hey, this is when Lana and I went to that theme park. This was Lana's desk. It sure is tidy. Lana's always been a meticulous cleaner. There's not even any dust on it. It looks like someone's still keeping it clean. Does Lana ever come back here? No, Chief Gant must still keep it clean in memory of their partnership. They were the stuff legends are made of. Does he keep it in memory of her or in memory of the crime? This was taken on that day 2 years ago. The day Joe and Dark ran out of the questioning room and tried to kill Emily. I see what they was thinking of in this picture when we first brought it up. A vase. After receiving this award trophy, Mr. Marshall took a picture here. They went along with Chief Gant to question Dark. But he never knew he'd be dead just a few hours later. Gee, you think? Okay, now open up the safe. Suit of armor. This is a real deal, isn't it? This armor and these weapons. Sure is, pal. The Chief doesn't care for imitations. First the pipe organ, now this armor? You know how many taxpayer dollars must have gone into this room? What? You mean you're paying for this? That's it. I'm not paying 1 cent of my taxes. You don't have any taxes to pay. Sheesh. Be careful what you say. Who knows? The Chief may be hiding in this armor as we speak. I don't think he'd fit in there. Even if he did, he'd never be able to get back out. Cut it out. You guys don't know how scary this guy can be. Okay, now, let's key in the panel. Do you know what this is? I have a hunch. Oh, I know. You want to try my birthday. I have a better idea. Here goes nothing. This reminds me of Spaceballs, and it's a funny movie, by the way. But one of my favorite scenes is when, like, you know, the bad guys are trying to get the passcode to some weapon from this monarch, and he just like gives them the passcode. And he just goes like 1 1 2 2 3 3 4 4 5. Yes, the password is 1 2 3 4 5. That's the stupidest thing I ever heard. It's like some imbecile put on his luggage. And then his boss comes by like, that's amazing. That's the password I put into my luggage. And literally, that's the stupidest password you can really create. Unless, I don't know, it's so stupid it just might work kind of situation, but God, that's ungodly stupid. What number did you enter? Whose birthday was that, pal? 7 7s. The final ID card number on that record. What? The number of the mysterious executive officer who entered the room that day? Wasn't a huge mystery on that part. I had a feeling. Hey, the guy is clearly, not the profile, but the guy clearly acts like a freaking bad guy. Given his behavior and how he treats people. B, the only other high-ranking officer would be like maybe Edgeworth and Lana, and these two like are already caught in their mess, so there's no way they can, you know, gain. Well, maybe Edgeworth was like it's a whole thing, but by process of elimination, only Gant will probably have that. And besides, Edgeworth has like a number that doesn't match up with, you know, this, you know, 7 7s. So who else could it be? You mean the ID number? I think you're 1 7 shy this time. This can only mean one thing: that Chief Gant's ID number. Say, anyone care to look inside? Is there any money in there? How much does he have stashed away? Look, it's a shard from a broken cup? This somehow looks familiar. But yeah, where have I seen this before? There's something else on it here too. What's this? Looks like a piece of leather cloth. This is a handprint, isn't it? Hey, I saw someone wearing a shirt like that once. You think the chief made up that design? I don't think so. Oh, well, it's just a thought. Is that it? This is all there was in the safe? Apparently so. It's empty now. Piece of cloth with a handprint on it and a broken shard from a cup. They look like pieces of evidence. Yeah, but unless you can prove they have something to do with this case, I'm afraid I can't just let you take them. After all, it's my neck on the line here. Right, now I have to prove their relevancy to get them. How are these two items related to the SL9 incident? Come on, it's got to be something we can show the detective. Detective Goshen, I'd like you to have a look at this. Hey, I know what this is. You want to take some fingerprints. That's a great idea, Detective. Alright, go to town, sheesh. What are you doing? Why are you sticking out your hand like that? Go ahead, take my fingerprints. It's not your fingerprints we want to take. Oh, come on, this isn't the time for jokes. Come on, this isn't the time for jokes. We're talking about that cloth we found in the safe. Oh, I knew that. The one with the handprint on it, right? Jeez, where's your sense of humor? Okay, Mr. Wright, let's check for prints. Sprinkle the powder on the cloth. And once they've been absorbed into the prints, blow the rest away.
Freezing.
Why are you, my mom? I don't have to be told a million times. Alright, let's get this over with. I wouldn't blow. I had to go to a finger, that's why. There you go. Fortunately, it doesn't match up. Damn it. What the hell? No. How can this be? What are Emma's fingerprints doing here? Hey, you found a match. Whose fingerprints were they? It seems The prints are too old. They aren't clear enough to get a match. Oh, that's too bad. I thought that'd be Dark's prints. Psst. Hey, you, over there. What's going on here? What are that kid's prints doing inside the chief's safe? Don't ask me. Let's just keep this information from Emma for now. Here, maybe you should hold on to this. Detective Gumshoe, did you have another look at this jar? I remember the three of us put that back together. Those were the days. It's kind of early to be nostalgic. Wasn't this jar a piece of evidence from that case? That's right. One of the shards had an SO9 incident sticker on it. Doesn't this ring any bells? You know, that fragment we just found? You mean this one? That was in the safe? Yeah, yes, that one. That was in the safe. Now that you mention it, it's ringing a lot of bells. Let's see if it fits. Here, let me see that shard. I'll take a crack at this. Go ahead, pal. Show us what a rookie can do. That's right. Here's some glue. I can piece this together again. It'll prove Chief Gant was knowingly hiding evidence. Here it goes. There. It fits like a charm. That of course means Chief Gant willingly and knowingly hid a piece of this jar in his safe. In other words, he concealed a piece of evidence from the SO9 incident. But guys, get a load of this. What is it? This piece you just attached is different from the others. There's a reddish line on it. A reddish line. That's blood. Don't get it. Why would Chief Gant hide this in his safe? That desk on the other side of the room. Was that your sister's? Yes, that's where I was waiting for Lana in a day 2 years ago. Is anyone using it now? No, sir. This is entirely Chief Gant's office now. He practices a strict policy of preserving the crime scene. That's a strange reason to leave it there. He leaves it as a warning to everyone else. He wants us to always be alert. He told us so himself at our New Year's party. Of course, he was pretty intoxicated at the time. I see. So ever since Lana left, no one ever touches that desk? No one except Chief Gant and the cleaning lady who's in here each morning. Still, 2 years have passed since that incident. There can't possibly be clues remaining. Can I ask you something? Sure. You only came here to look around, right? Because one of the SO9 crime scenes. I mean, that's your only reason for coming here, isn't it? Why would you ask? You don't think... Nah, you wouldn't be. No, there's no way. Never mind. Don't worry about it. Okay, now then, let's look around a bit more. Hey, hold on. Not so fast, buddy. Huh? What is it? When someone tells you don't worry about it, it's supposed to start bothering you, pal. You don't just let it go at that. Sorry, this guy's starting to get on my nerves. Okay, what's bothering you? You two don't think Chief Gant might be a suspect, do you? What? He's right, Mr. Wright. What do you think of him? What do we think of him? Chief Gant. So it's finally come to this. What do I think of him? Perhaps it's best I don't divulge my feelings yet. There you go, ignore me again. Well, was I any help? Of course. Thanks to your ID card, we were able to get some hard evidence. Now, that's not very kind, is it? In other words, if it wasn't for his ID card, he would have been useless. Isn't that right, you in the coat? Hey, you can't. We didn't think you'd be back so soon. Fortunately, I'm a man who believes in signs. As I was walking to my meeting, I happened to look out a window and saw a stray dog run right into a pole. Just then I thought of a certain detective. Do you mean me, sir? Now then, I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you all to leave. Yes, sir. Sorry. Oh, you in the coat. Me, sir? Drop off your ID on the way out. You won't be needing it anymore. But sir... Now get out. Yes, sir. Holy shit, he just fired him. We'll be on our way to that. Wait, the one without the spiky hair. Don't go yet. Me, sir? I'd like a word with you. But sir, I'm not a licensed scientific investigator yet. You with the spiky hair, you're free to go. Mr. Wright. Look, pal, if I told you once, I told you 1,000 times. The chief's office is off limits. But no, you just had to go sneaking in there like that, didn't you? I thought you said you didn't care anymore if you were fired. Yeah, but if I knew it would be like this, I never would have said it. Now that I've seen the evidence Chief Gank was hiding in his office, I think I'm finally starting to get the picture. But why has she kept really silent about it all this time? Anyway, you listen to me. We're gonna try to smooth things over with the chief again. Later, pal. After that, I heard from Emma. She said the police wanted to ask her for some questions, so she'll be busy for the rest of the day. Video is nearly over, and I'll hop right into God of War. I see. So the chief asked Emma to come in for questioning. It's no use thinking about it. Tomorrow's the final day in court. I'm committed to doing everything I can to defend you, which is why I'm here. But I've already told you all I can. What you've told me over these past couple of days is absolutely nothing. Not a single useful thing. Really? I believe I did mention something quite important. Something I told you right at the beginning. I said that I was the one who stabbed Detective Goodman. You know, I think I finally figured it out. I know who it is that's lurking behind your words. Mia did a good job mentoring you. I'm rather jealous. It seems Edgeworth was right. Edgeworth. Once you've convinced you know something, no one can persuade you otherwise. Thick-headed is the term he used, I believe. Now's my chance to get her to tell me the rest of the story. I have to admit, I was more than a little perplexed at first. You insisted you did it, yet there was no incriminating evidence. That's when it hit me. It's not that you're unwilling to tell the truth. It's that you're incapable of doing so because of a certain individual. What an intriguing notion. A certain individual, you say. So you think I'm protecting this person? Protecting? No, I think afraid of is more like it. If I'm not mistaken, the person in question may have persuaded you to silence. For argument's sake, Mr. Wright, whom may I ask is this person you're speaking of? The one I'm supposedly so frightened of? Take that! Well, Miss Guy? Mr. Wright, you are addressing the chief prosecutor. Do not forget your place. I take it she's still not ready to spill the beans. My apologies. Could you please tell me a bit more about what you think you know? We were partners until 2 years ago. I respected him as a detective. Assuming he is respectable, then tell me something. Why would he try to hide his crimes? Both you and Ezra will be brought before a board of inquiry for what you did, specifically hiding and forging evidence. Of course, these are serious offenses. Why is it though that Chief Gant's name was never mentioned? Chief Gant? Ezra didn't know the truth behind the forgery. The only party who could have possibly tampered with the evidence was me. I had access because I was second in command of that investigation. Yes, you, but also one other, Damon Gant. If you intend to accuse Chief Gant, you'll need more than just words. Show me proof that Chief Gant falsified evidence in that case. Probably the vase more than likely, but let's see. One second. It was either that or this, but it's both the same.
Take that!
I just found this in a safe in the chief's office. This jar piece and this piece of cloth. Do you know what these are? They're pieces of evidence from the SL9 incident. The person concealing evidence was none other than Chief Gant himself. Now tell me, why are you taking all the blame for him? Touché, Mr. Wright. It's as you surmise. I cannot disobey the chief's orders, even if it means being found guilty for murder. Why not? Come now, Mr. Wright. You can't possibly expect me to be able to tell you that. 3 days ago, I had no choice but to cooperate. In the murder of Detective Goodman? Or perhaps I should say, follow orders. Yes, that's more accurate than cooperating. Although I can't tell you the details, I can say that I was given an order that day. I need you to dispose of Bruce Goodman's body. You'll find it inside the trunk of Miles Edgeworth's car. Just as I suspected, despite what everyone believes, you were not the one who murdered Detective Goodman. Correct. I was trying to take the body out of Edgeworth's car. The trunk's lock was broken, and I discovered that murder weapon while inspecting the body. The murder weapon? You mean Edgeworth's knife? No. When I found the body, this was the knife stuck in it. The knife from the SL9 incident. Serial killer Joe Dark's knife. I couldn't just leave that knife in him, so I took it out and stabbed him with another knife. That would be Edgeworth's knife. That's right. Even though he was already dead, my hands were shaking at the thought of stabbing him. That's why I ended up cutting my hand. And that is the reason for the bandage on your right hand. Yes, it seems that I got blood on the victim's shoes as well. And then she saw me just as I plunged the knife in. Miss Star, huh? Why did you need to hide Dark's knife so badly? It took a lot of work to finally close the Dark case 2 years ago. It was over with. I didn't ever want it to be open again. My intent was to prevent that by whatever means possible. So you hid Dark's knife? The weapon used to stab the detective was evidence in the Joe Dark case. If word got out, which it would, the reporters would have a field day with that. So you wrapped the knife in your scarf and hid it in Edgeworth's exhaust pipe. Right. Then I called my sister to tell her what happened and to ask her to hide the knife that was inside my muffler. You asked Emma? I didn't want anyone on the force to know about this. That would explain why Emma is so confident about Lana's innocence. Speaking of phone calls, I had a bad feeling about one of them that day. A bad feeling? The truth is, after I received those orders from Chief Gant, the first thing I did was make a phone call. A phone call to Patrolman Jake Marshall. Jake Marshall? Why on earth would you call him? The lead investigator for the SL9 incident had been murdered. I wanted the fact to be kept hidden, and I needed help. He was the only other person I could trust. Or at least I thought I could trust him at that time. However, it seems that after I spoke to him, he went off on an escapade on his own. Oh, you mean, not wanting the case to die, he decided to take things into his own hands. He disguised himself as Detective Goodman and tried to steal the evidence. Where did he get like a spare exact outfit of Goodman's clothes? In such short notice, especially. He had already stolen the ID card, but it seems he still hadn't made up his mind to break into the evidence room. After my phone call, any remaining doubts he had must have disappeared. So your phone call caused the incident in the evidence room. I'm afraid that's all I can tell you. Yeah, still, it's a hell of a coincidence that he chose that exact moment to go into the evidence room right as he's about to try to hide a body. But Lana, you've earned my respect, Mr. Wright, both as a defense attorney and an investigator. Now please, don't pursue this any further in court tomorrow's trial. There's only one way to drive off Lana's demons. I've got to get to the bottom of everything. Detective Goodman's real murderer. And what went down in the chief's office 2 years ago. No, now I'm thinking like, because the blood stain on the vase and it's literally right there. It's possible that, Gant smashed the vase over Goodman's head, killing him in the process. I mean, that's my theory, but, we'll see in the next video. And what went down in the chief's office 2 years ago. Alrighty then. Yeah, that's already 2 hours. Wow. Let's see. Alright, give me like 10 minutes and I'll boot up God of War. But don't forget to smash that like button. Your support of this video and the channel is greatly appreciated. And yeah, stay tuned for more content. Later.